Hello, good evening, and welcome once again to Real Estate with Bimpe. My name is Adebimpe Arinola, and I'm the property consultant who is here with you every Tuesday and every Saturday at 7 p.m. discussing everything real estate. I did a video of a site inspection recently. I hope you saw it. Check it out, it's very short. You might find it interesting. In recent episodes, we have been discussing real estate documents. By that, I mean every document you encounter as a title document along the path of real estate transactions. When you ask the question, what kind of document does this property have? The documents they are going to mention for you, we've been discussing them. Don't forget that title is the bundle of rights that any entity has over real estate. Title is the bundle of rights any entity has over real estate. So a tenant who gets a lease agreement has title to that property. It is not title to own, it is title to reside there, to be in possession for a specific amount of time. So any document that says this person has this power to do this over property is some sort of title document. However, they vary in weight, they vary in capacity, they vary in different facts, which is why I'm taking them one at a time and discussing all these documents. Today is episode 6, where I'll be discussing what is governor's consent. What is governor's consent? Now, there's a document called governor's consent. The document that you get after a C of O has been registered. You know, a C of O is issued by the government. It can be issued to you after you buy from an individual and go to government to register, or if you buy a government allocation. Maybe government is allocating property, allocating land to build, and you buy, you will also be issued a certificate of occupancy. So when you now transfer that title in the certificate of occupancy to another person, the document that you get, the document that person will now have as their own title document, will not be another C of O. Is usually called a governor's consent. Now, let me state that every document that is a document of title, for whatever it is, every legal document has a heading at the top on the front page. It has a heading that says what the document is. Even a receipt, you will see receipt written on top of it. If it is power of attorney, you will see power of attorney written on top of it. Even in police station, when you do undertaking, you will see undertaking written on top of it. Now, here's the thing. There is no document that has governor's consent written on top of it. There's no document like that has governor's consent written on top of it. However, that document they are calling governor's consent, you actually need governor's consent in that transaction. You need it. That is usually the beginning of that travel of governor's consent. But here's the thing. Every document that you register as title document over real estate with the Bureau of Lands and Survey requires governor's consent. Do you get me? That C of O that they issue to you has governor's consent. The governor consented to the transaction. Do you understand? When they are going to get a gazette, you need the consent of the governor for the allocation to be issued, for the gazette to be published. Even when you want to register a mortgage, a legal mortgage on property, you take a mortgage from a bank and you use a document with government title to take the mortgage, they will register a tripartite legal mortgage with the bank. That legal mortgage also requires governor's consent. You, at the last page at the back, you will see it under the place that was left for the governor's signature, for the governor's approval, for the governor's consent. That portion is what is the governor's consent. And that portion is in every registered title to real estate with government. Once you go and register it, once you enter a discussion with government over property, whatever they approve for you at the end of the day will have the consent of the governor. So here is my question. Because even the person who has tripartite deed of legal mortgage, that is the basis of a foreclosure, that is a different conversation entirely. But the person who is holding a tripartite deed of legal mortgage, if you ask them what the title they have, they will also tell you they have governor's consent. So I need you to ask, what is the title on the head of that governor's consent, because a governor's consent is a very broad name to call all such documents. Ask them, what is the governor's consent? Don't always assume that it is a deed of assignment they are calling governor's consent for you. Don't always assume. Request to see it. It's likely to be a deed of assignment, but there are fraudulent people all around who will do anything just to maneuver their way through real estate transactions. Ask them, what is the title of the governor's consent? What's the title at the head on the front page of that governor's consent? Even when you want to register a long lease, 10-year lease, tenancy lease, when you want to register it with the government, you will get a governor's consent. Do you see what I'm saying? So a governor's consent is not per se a title document. Every document with a governor's consent has a title on top of it. It is that title you need to ask, because you may not want to buy property that came up for sale by reason of a tripartite deed of legal mortgage. If you want to buy, there's a certain kind of investigation you must do. But to just assume that because they said it's governor's consent, it is a deed of assignment, it might be a bit too risky a step for you to take. So when you hear, what type of title does this document have, and you hear governor's consent, ask them, what is the heading on the front page of that governor's consent? And if they are unwilling to explain to you, don't forget that it is your right to know the title to the property you want to lease or you want to buy. It is your right to know, especially if it is a long lease. If they are not willing to answer your questions, if they are not willing to disclose information, you need to take a walk. No matter who the person is, no matter how senior, no matter how superior, if the person is too tired of answering questions, that they don't want to answer my questions on a transaction, that they don't want to answer my questions on a particular investigation of real estate title, I am willing to walk away, even if their title might be genuine. I would rather be safe than sorry. That is my own mantra. So I will explain to the person involved that this and this and this is what I've asked. They are not willing to answer. They are not forthcoming. They are not accommodating. You might want to proceed because it's a property you don't want to miss. You might want to proceed because they have a name to protect. They are credible. But I will tell you my own opinion legally. I will give you a perspective based on what I know by experience and legally, and you can decide to proceed. It might be safe, but then it just might not be. You know, it's all about risks and the risks you are willing to take. All I ever advocate is know as much as possible about the risk you are about to take. Even the one that we consider safest has some risk involved. How much more when you don't even know anything about the risk involved in what you are doing? Every investment is risky. Mitigate your losses by investigating your risk. Okay, let me say that again. Every investment is risky. Mitigate your losses by investigating your risk. Thank you for watching. I hope you got some value. If you did, please like this video and mention it in the comment section. If you have questions, please ask. I'll be glad to answer. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to our video and hit the notification bell so you know when next a video goes live. Until I come your way again, remember I always say that I'm still convinced that real estate transactions remain one of the juiciest investment opportunities the world over, especially in Nigeria. Goodbye and take care.